Welcome to the Broad Street Phanatics, here with Cameron Bogdanoff, Alex Rich, and our guest, Geoff Pontes. He is from Prospect Live, and we are excited to see what he has to say about this past draft for the MLB and what his thoughts are on the Phillies prospects and more. Welcome, Geoff.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Yeah, happy to talk a little bit about, this most recent 2021 draft and, certainly Phillies or, whoever you guys want to get into. So, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, always happy to connect with some up and comers and, some guys that love baseball as much as I do.
Okay. So my first question is, what do you specifically do at Prospects Live?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm the co-founder of Prospects Live. Founded back in 2018 with a few other folks that were, I think, interested in evaluation and just really having an open medium to kind of expand and study prospects in any direction it took us. And I think over the last couple of years, we've of course done, our top, prospect rankings for, all 30 teams. And we do a lot of stuff on the fantasy and dynasty side of things as well. But, more and more, it's sort of expanded into a lot of amateur coverage. So, college ball, some of these prep showcase events, whether that be from, Perfect Game or several others that, are out there putting together these events. And, of course, the MLB draft, which I think the amateur side of things rolls into pretty well. So really, it's just been a focus on everything. We have, a big following for, our baseball card coverage from Joe Lowry. And I really think that, when I started the website, the goal was just to have sort of like a one-stop shop and build a community of just people who love baseball. And I think there's a lot of different sort of inputs within, that realm, where it could be somebody who, is into fantasy baseball, or someone who's into baseball cards, or, somebody who's a baseball player that is just interested in reading about up and coming prospects and, different concepts that have come into the game analytically. We do a lot of that coverage as well. And, just give an opportunity for some independent, but really intelligent voices to sort of get out there. So, so far so good. We're going on. This is technically our second full minor league season, but 3 years, in terms of baseball seasons, of course, because there was no 2020. And yeah, just about 3 years in October. So, we've done a good job of, just getting out there and, building up different mediums, YouTube channel, certainly our podcasts, and, just, I think, social media, plus the content we put out, on the site, and then on our Patreon that we launched about a month ago.
I kind of have a question. So do you get to talk to the prospects after the game, like press conferences or stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's not as traditional as that. Certainly if we take more of like a guerrilla mind state of like almost like scouts. So, we go to games, we observe players. Certainly within those travels, and you're at the park enough, you get connected with people. But I don't necessarily always go out of my way to ask, questions every game. But I think there's, just certain people and players that just naturally you can develop relationships with, and the conversations strike up from there on any given topic. And I've been, blessed enough to have an opportunity to, build relationships that are conversational, with a few different prospects across all different systems. And, even some amateur players as well, particularly on the college level. So yeah, I guess the short answer is yes, but it's not something that I would say we seek out as much as just going to the games and taking notes and focusing on what the players do well and the areas where they need to improve.
Mhm. My question is, what are your thoughts on the Philly first round pick, Andrew Painter, and how long do you see until he becomes in the MLB?
Sure. Yeah. I think with any prep pitcher, it's a longer road. So you're probably talking 4 to 5 years until he's major league ready. Now that said, this is a kid that turned 18 years old in April. So even if he's 22 or 23 when he finally does matriculate, make it up to the major leagues, that's pretty good. That's still a very young pitcher to be facing major league batters, and really talented. Obviously unique in terms of his size. He's 6'7" and really long limb. Really good shape in the fastball. He can run it up to 96, 97. Sit pretty comfortably at 94 to 95 with good movement. Good secondary stuff, and I think that even within that body at 6'7", he's relatively thin, and I think there's some projection that remains. So, kind of like they did last year with Mick Abel, they were able to sort of pull down, I think in some people's opinion, one of the top 2 or 3 prep arms in the draft and get him at pick 13. So I think that was pretty good.
So my next question is, what is your prediction for the rest of the season for the NL East?
Yeah, ooh, it's a tight race. I was looking at this at this earlier this morning, and yeah, I mean, I think you have obviously the Phillies and the Mets are kind of deadlocked, but some luck has started to break the Phillies' way a little bit. I think you could even say, unfortunately, I think just for baseball fans, Ronald Acuna Jr. is obviously injured, and the Braves are below 500. They made a move for Jack Peterson, but that's certainly not going to replace that sort of production. The Mets are now dealing with a potential lengthy layoff or serious injury for Jake DeGrom. So I think the Phillies are kind of in a position where it wouldn't shock me if they sort of rise and end up winning that division. I'm sure it will still be a close race, but they still have their horses, and they've had some guys that have underproduced over the last couple of years. But I think ultimately, if they make a couple of moves here at the deadline, it wouldn't shock me if the Phillies ended up walking away with the division. And I'm not even just saying that because I'm talking with you gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah. Michael, what move do you see the Phillies making one at the trade deadline? Do you see the Phillies making any move before the deadline?
Well, I mean, I think it just probably all depends on, what's out there, in terms of what they can acquire. I don't know if potentially they're players for, somebody like Trevor Story. I don't know if they'd be players for someone like, Joey Gallo, or what kind of arms are necessarily available as well. Certainly bullpen help is available, and a guy like Craig Kimbrell. Um, I don't, so I guess that's sort of a question. They certainly, in my opinion, have plenty of talent in the pen right now. And it's just a matter of, you probably would like to see them add another starter, especially with someone like, Matt Moore is like their number 3 right now, or however you want to classify it. I think another starter could really solidify them and put them in a good position, maybe even 2. But it's just a matter of who's out there, and is, someone like Kyle Gibson, for example. Is that really an upgrade? Probably an upgrade over like Matt Moore. I don't know. But yeah, I think they probably need a depth arm maybe like that. And, if they could make a move for a bigger arm to sort of pair with Nola and Wheeler, because Nola, was, of course, is returning on Tuesday. We're recording this on Monday. So, yeah, I think it's probably something in the realm there. They could maybe use another bat. They certainly could use another starter. but I don't think he'd shy away from improving in any area.
What do you think about this upcoming series against the Yankees? You think they can win the series again against them?
Yeah, I think they're certainly in a good position to potentially do so. The Yankees have struggled tremendously this season at times, and I mean the record still isn't bad, of course. But yeah, I mean if baseball, it's really tough to isolate one particular series and necessarily know what's going to happen. But it lines up pretty well, and certainly getting Aaron Nola back is a big shot in the arm. So I think that can help. And Yankees have been playing pretty good baseball late, though. They're 7-3 over the last 10. Phillies, I think, over the last 10 have the same record. So, I think it could be a hard-fought series. Two teams with similar records, both still battling for their playoff lives as we start to hit the stretch here, in the important final 2 months of the season. So, yeah, I think it's we're starting to see some important series, and this is probably as important as any interleague series could possibly be.
Do you see the Mets being sellers or buyers when it comes to the deadline?
I would imagine they're going to end up being buyers. You look at the Mets, and they obviously have the money behind them. I think their ownership wants to win, and they're in first place right now in the division. So, we're in July 19th. So, I can't imagine a whole lot changing over the next week that they decide to sell off. It just doesn't seem like that would necessarily be the mentality. So, I guess it depends on, once again, what's out there and what they feel they need to replace. They're probably not a great fit for Trevor Story to pay up there. Even with Lindor going down, you probably don't want to commit that many assets in a spot like that. But I think we'll see. We'll see how these injuries with Lindor and DeGrom shake out over the next couple of weeks.
I can't wait. You got anything else?
Yeah, I have one last question. What is the prospect you think next year to keep an eye on for the 2022 draft?
Yeah, sure. So, we're talking sort of top of the draft, like potential superstar type players. I think Tamar Johnson, is a high school prospect. I believe he's from Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just double check on that. He's kind of unique in the sense that he's not a very big guy. He's listed at 5'10". It might be more like 5'8". But if you've watched any of the events over the last couple of weeks, whether it be, I think, the high school home run derby at Coors, I believe he won that. And then, Perfect Games National Showcase was this past weekend, or weekend to weekend, down in Tampa or in St. Pete. And I think, Tamar is probably a really big name to look for. On the college side, a lot more position player heavy this year than it's been the last couple. Less depth, I would say, within the arm class in comparison. But you got some guys at the top of the draft, players like Brooks Lee, who's a switch hitting, power hitting shortstop out of Cal Poly. Actually plays for his father out there. And I would say another guy that's definitely stood out to me is Jace Young, who is Josh Young of Texas Rangers prospect, his younger brother at Texas Tech. Really good hitter, really talented player. And some other guys that have stuck out to me here on like the Cape, where I've seen a lot of 2022 players. I would say Caden Wallace is one. Owen Diodati, Alabama power hitter, is certainly another. And I saw a really good arm last night at a Wake Forest by the name of Eric Adler that was up 95-96 with a banger breaking ball. So there's a lot of talent in next year's draft, and even more position talent I could probably go through as you really wanted to get into the weeds. But yeah, I think if you're looking to upgrade and have a position player that could be up in the majors within 2 years. 2022 draft is going to be a really good one. And the prep side of things, the high school side of things, is really top heavy, but some really talented players at the top. Like I said, Tamar Johnson. The other big name I think everybody's kind of cued in on is Elijah Green, who's an incredibly talented player. A lot of tools, a lot of really great athletes next year. So it's a fun one to dream on.
So I wanted your thoughts on. So my dad went to the University of UVA, and I just wanted your thoughts on going into next season and what your prediction is for them.
Yeah, UVA is a great program, and they recruit incredibly well. They get guys onto campus that are, top 50 players in the class year after year after year, guys that, potentially walk away from, $1 million or more dollars annually. And, some players I've seen a lot of are Chris Newell. He's hit some homers for me over the last couple of weeks. He's looked really good in center field as well. I know he was rough for a lot of this season after having a lot of expectations, showing out as a natural freshman in the truncated 2020 season. But another incredibly talented player there. Certainly Kyle Teal, who's played some outfield for them, caught as well. Another really talented guy. And Nate Savino, who's a left-handed pitcher that's with the collegiate national team, may end up coming up here to the Cape and pitching some innings with Katuitt. We'll see once the national team is over. But yeah, I think UVA is certainly going to be, competitive next year in the ACC. And, if they took home the conference, that wouldn't shock anybody, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that their prospects coming in can be in the MLB in the coming years?
Like prospects from this draft?
Like looking ahead to 2023, and
I think he's asking about the UVA prospects, maybe. If you know any of the UVA, have you studied any of the UVA freshmen coming in?
I'd have to look at their recruiting class. I actually don't know off the top of my head. They lost obviously a few pitchers and guys like Abbott and Vassell and McGarry. But I'd have to double check on who their incoming class is. And there's I'm sure an incredibly talented class. Like I said, nearly every year there is. But off the top of my head, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I don't. There's so many prep players out there. It's tough to keep them all straight.
Yeah.
So Cameron, you got anything else?
I think we're good. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'm happy to talk to you and keep up the good work.
Thank you.